Welcome back to Wizard of Odds. Kenny White, fix those glasses, sir. We got some money to make. KennyWhiteSports.com. There are two games that we just have to discuss because you're a guy who makes a number on every player, a number on every team. And you and I feel like are going to be lockstep on at least one of these games. I think this line on Tennessee, Oklahoma is unbelievably out of control. And it's funny, you can see the backdrop behind me, the BetQL Daily backdrop. Somebody on a Tennessee message board got a hold of our show last week where I said Oklahoma should not be this big of a dog at Tennessee. And now the Tennessee people just despise me. I think this should be like a 3-point game, Kenny. Obviously, Oklahoma has some issues on the O-line and receiver, but Tennessee's played nobody. How do you assess a team that hasn't played anybody yet?
Yeah, again, you're right, Sammy. Thanks for having me on the show, by the way. Love being on Chicken Dinner. I rate each individual player out, so I want to know how good the roster is, and I feel very comfortable when I do that and come up with a power rating to compare teams in different conferences. And those players are all rated off their experience, their size, their strength, their speed, and any other type of stats that I can put together with running backs, wide receivers. Even I have offensive line stats now, so. I use everything I can get to come up with the best player rating I can get. And that's how I compare the teams. And you're right. So I adjust from game to game. In Tennessee, I've had a huge favorite over Chattanooga. Even the NC State game, they were a big favorite. They were a monster favorite against Kent State. They did come up with plus numbers in those games. Their numbers are off the chart. They're a 146 performance in those 3 games. That's 46% better than the average college football team. So they were great, but that was the competition. Now they're stepping up to a really good football team in Oklahoma who has stayed vanilla under the radar, prepared for this game for 3 weeks now. They've been preparing for Tennessee. And, Josh Heupel has been tremendous at home in his career at Tennessee. He's 16-9 ATS, Sammy, at home, 7-8 ATS on the road. This is going to be a different story. He's up against a really good team that has been vanilla. Early lines, the look-ahead games in August had Oklahoma the favorite in this game. I have Oklahoma the favorite, or I have Tennessee a slight favorite now. I think I have Tennessee too. But yeah, I took the points, took the 7.5 with the Sooners.
Yeah, I said I might have Oklahoma the favorite last week. They didn't look that great on Saturday. They've got some injuries, and obviously Tennessee wins another game by 1,000,000 points. So you almost have to correct, but you're correcting to not be so wrong on the game because we could both be wrong. Obviously, we're wrong all the time. But let's talk about another team. So I'm with you on Oklahoma. I will play the Sooners plus the points. You get a 7.5 now, by the way. I can't do it with Michigan. I know I should. I did it against Texas. Last week, I laid 22-23. They're up 28-3. After the quarterback throws 3 interceptions, they're still up 25. I'm 12-7 on Chicken Dinner this year. I have 2 losses on Michigan. So I just can't. But I'm curious what your true number is. USC at Michigan. You see the Trojans minus 5.5. It feels high, but man, I'm scared of Michigan.
Yeah, I couldn't bet them last week. I thought that was a bad spot for them going in, playing a big game this week, and then coming off that Texas game. I have Michigan the favorite here over USC, and I have Michigan a strong favorite of 8 points. I know these two rosters. I know the players on these two teams. Better offensive line with Michigan, better specialty players with Michigan, and a better defense on the Michigan side by far, especially in the secondary where Southern Cal is just slightly above average in their secondary. Yeah, Michigan hasn't played well. Jim Harbaugh was a great coach. And when you lose a guy like that, the players follow. They didn't ask questions. They may be second-guessing Sharon Moore. I don't know. But Alex made a good point today, and I agree with her that, people have always said when you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. You may have 2 great quarterbacks, and they're both battling for the job. The problem is the offense listens to a voice. And when you're hearing 2 different voices, things being done 2 different ways, there's inconsistency. They're going with Alex Orji. He's their guy. He's the starter. He's going to be the voice. I think that helps out the offense tremendously. Everybody knows who the guy is now. Alex Orji. The roster is so much better. They are at home. USC has overachieved their first couple of games. They played LSU. LSU played a poor opening game. They were not prepared. And USC was. And USC made a great drive at the end of the game to win it.
I still can't do it. I agree with everything you said. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I've got MTSD after 2 straight weeks, which I know you understand.
Yeah, I do.
I hope you win. And look, I'm not betting USC. It's just, for me, it's a pass like you passed last week. But when you say Michigan should be an 8-point favorite, that means you got Michigan higher on the power rating, and then you add in the home field. So everything you're saying is preaching to the choir. I'm terrified of betting on that team again and looking like a moron 3 straight weeks. The last game I want to ask you about is in the Big 12. And Utah, Cam Rising, listed right now is probable. I don't know that he's completely healthy. I guess we'll find out on Saturday. But when you look at a Utah team that just gave up 400 yards almost to Utah State, Oklahoma State with Gundy has always made people money. I didn't agree with the move to Utah. This open Oklahoma State favored. Now Utah's favored. That seems to be a little bit much, does it not?
Yeah, I think it is. Even with Cameron Rising starting, I have Oklahoma State the favorite 1.5. This is Mike Gundy. This is one of the stronger home fields in college football. Counting a ATS loss to Arkansas, because the closing line was 9 or 9.5, I got it at 7. I covered. I still gave them a loss in the ATS. They're 69-51 in their last 120 games. 69-51. You're making money betting Oklahoma State at home just blindly. Now, you talked about Cam Rising. He is worth 4.5 points to the betting line. I couldn't argue if somebody said he's worth 5 or 6 points, because their scoring went down over 14 points per game last year when he wasn't at quarterback. That's a huge drop-off. Same drop-off this year. He's probable in a lot of places, Sammy, but you and I know that hand injury, he may not be able to play this week, even though they're saying he's probable. If he doesn't get a full practice in every day this week, there's a question mark whether he goes. If he doesn't go, I'm making Oklahoma State 6. You could take the 2.5 right now. I don't think that number's ever going up. I think it could only come down even if he plays.
Yeah, we'll pay attention to that. Again, Don Best said on Monday, Cam Rising probable, likely to play, but it's hard to take 2 things seriously: Cam Rising's availability and anything out of Kyle Whittingham's mouth. He tells us nothing.
He's a great coach, though. That's for sure. But so is Mike Gundy. And like I said, that home advantage is too much to pass up for me. And they have a lot of talent too. They should be 3-0 ATS by the spread this year. And now welcoming Utah to the conference, they're going to welcome them all right. I think they're going to welcome them with a little bit of a 7 to 10 point win.
That's the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, KennyWhiteSports.com. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Sammy. Always on Chicken Dinner.